Good morning, I'm Jackie here from the Wandering Oak, and today is May 17th. It is 6:30 in the morning, and I thought that today was the perfect day to give you all the first garden tour of the season. So I'm standing right here in front of my high tunnel that's been empty for quite some time. It's been a very unusually hot May here. We've had a ton of days in the 70s and 80s. Lows have been in the 50s and 60s very consistently. And so this high tunnel has gotten way too hot to put anything in there. So everything is moved out, and I am working on going through everything and up potting what needs to be up potted and just sorting out what did well from what didn't do well, because we definitely had a learning curve this year trying to figure out how to use that thing, because it is not like growing inside where you have optimal conditions. So let me turn the camera around, and I'm just going to walk you around the garden and show you all of the beautiful things that are going on right now, and give you guys a good base starting point so you guys can watch with me what happens this season as this garden develops, because I think that this year is going to be our most prolific yet, and I hope you guys will stick around to watch this year unfold with me. Let's go. So right off the bat, like I said, we've got this high tunnel that's been empty for a while, and everything that was in it is over here. This pile is slowly dwindling. All we have left are some lettuce and a ton of the bunny tails grass, some cabbage left. Got a little bit of one tray of tomatoes over there, some lobelias over here, a rogue pepper that somehow got into this tray, and some cosmos, quinoa over here. So yeah, I've just got to go through this all. We've got a tray of lavender here, and I am just sorting out the good from the bad, really. See, there's nothing up in these, and just kind of doing a little housekeeping here with what's left over from the greenhouse. But let me walk you this way into our fenced garden area. Here is my station that I have going on for up potting. You can see I've been working on up potting some sage and thyme and cilantro. There's some peppers over here. This is what I'm doing. So I grew them in these little 6-packs, and I seeded them heavily, but now it's time for them to get out of these and go into their own individual pots so they can finish growing up. Now is definitely not the time that you would actually be sowing peppers if you wanted them for your own garden. It's not exactly on schedule, but I am doing these so I have another crop to sell at my plant stand. So my plant stand has been doing really good. I don't have a whole lot left right now, so that's why I started another round of peppers and tomatoes, because it is still early enough that they could get to size and people could buy them so they could be able to grow them. But yeah, that's why I have another round of peppers and tomatoes going, not necessarily because it's the right time to start them. There's not a whole lot going on in this area here. I've got a Rose of Sharon and a Forever Goldie Arborvitae here, and more trays that I'm going through. Yeah, this is kind of a beast of a project, but super fun. We've got a fir tree in that pot that I got for Christmas, and it's probably going to need to be pulled out of this pot before too long, but it's getting some really nice new growth on it. It's looking good. So now I'm going to walk you through. Don't mind my hose. I am really bad about leaving hoses everywhere. I have 2 topiaries here of blue spruce topiaries. And if we walk around this way, I'm just going to jump through here. It's kind of like my shade rock garden. I don't have much right now, but I do have a piece of driftwood that has had the same some revivals in them for a couple seasons now. They're looking pretty tired. I'm probably going to need to retire those. This is just a piece of driftwood I found at the beach maybe 3 winters ago now. Then I've got some sweetwood drift here and saxifrage. And this garden bed over here is just going to fill in over time. It's kind of interesting light. It's kind of like dappled shade. Not super typical for rock gardens. Rock gardens are usually in the sun, and so you can put succulents and things like that. But I'm really excited to see how exactly this base takes shape. So let's walk you this way. This here is my favorite area of the garden right now. I'm not quite sure what that is. I'll have to look back in my stuff to find the name of that. But it is a proven winner's variety. It has these gorgeous blue flowers. I just planted that this year, so it's not on our schedule, so it's kind of petered out of blooming right now. But it was really, really beautiful. This is a railroad tie that we found at the beach a while ago, and inside this crevice here, I really want to plant, I think, some ground cover spilling over the sides. I think it would be so pretty. And this here is not lamb's ear. The name evades me right now, but it blooms beautiful hot pink flowers. Got this really pretty light colored hosta that somebody took a chomp out of. We've got Brunnera, Forsythia, another Forever Goldie Arborvitae. I wish when I planted grasses that I actually took the time to note what their names were, but I don't know any of the grasses on my property. Unfortunate, but oh well. And this here, in all of its glory, is a Renaissance spirea. How gorgeous is that? I love even the buds are so delicate, and it gives it like several different textures in the same plant. We've got some Dara Ami here. I'll pop a picture up on the screen right now of what that looks like in bloom. That reseeded itself from last year, and I'm super happy because that was my favorite part of the garden last year. And my favorite flower, Lily of the Valley. This is just very nostalgic to me. My house growing up had, like, the whole side of the house was just Lily of the Valley, so I really enjoy having a large patch of that, and that's the start of one. Just give it a few seasons and that'll be all over the place here. We've got this gorgeous Bloodgood Japanese maple. This is only its 2nd season, and it has grown so much over the winter. And below it, I've got 3 different colors of creeping phlox that just look like, I don't know, marvelous floral carpets. I love it. This is a Japanese ghost fern. We've got some silver wormwood artemisia here. This is such a soft plant. We have a deutzia plant here that's about to explode in bloom. A white bleeding heart, and all along here I've got a bunch of onions planted. Got 2 really deep colored heuchera, a mini globe spirea. I just love that spireas can be so different, like this versus that. Same family, complete different look in the garden. And then check out these Jacob's Ladder. These have been so beautiful for a long time now. This color is just unlike anything else. It's like a neon periwinkle. And then I have a couple more grasses over here. This has kind of been nomad's land, that everything just kind of gets shoved over here if I need it moved out of my way and I don't know where to put it. So this guy is looking pretty sad. It did not do well last year, and so I'm gonna see how it does this year in a different location here. And if it doesn't do well, I'm just gonna pitch it because it was struggling last year. But yeah, this garden here has been so glorious. And as far as what's going on up against the house, let's go take a look. There's not a whole lot right now. This bed massively needs to get weeded, and it's going to get completely retooled. I'm thinking I want it way closer to the house because I want to be able to easily access this, yet lots of spiders like to hang out in here, so I don't like getting in here. So I'm thinking it's just going to all be hostas, a little bit of the bluegrass that you see over here, and maybe some ferns or something, but not a whole lot. And then the rest of this will become more yard. But if you want something that's going to take over your life, this bluegrass will do it. In some areas you want that, but it just kind of creeps everywhere. Got a mum. There are ferns sprinkled throughout, which I actually think I really wanted this whole window box to be filled with ferns this year, and so I bought bulbs, but none of them are coming up. So I think I'm just going to transplant some of these into that flower bed, and it'll give me the same look for free. We've got more hostas that I think I'm going to move, maybe over here, and maybe in this bed over here. So yeah, I don't know. This whole bed is just going to get a complete overhaul. And there's some random stuff in here, like some Japanese bloodgrass and some blue star juniper. Here's variegated St. John's wort, really pretty, that blooms big yellow flowers. We've got a Hinoki cypress that's getting buried under all of these weeds. And 3 more heuchera dotted around that also might move. And this bed here, so you can see even the bluegrass is taking out over here. I planted just a little bit and it's like worked its way all the way over here. We've got a really, really beautiful lilac. Look at that, so pretty. There's some lamium that has seen better days. Another chrysanthemum. I just have those kind of dotted all over the yard. I think this might be adagio grass or maidenhair grass. Like I said, I don't know any of the grasses on my property. Look at this strawberry. It is just full of blooms right now. That is going to produce a lot of fruit here real soon. It's got radishes in this area and over here as well, and then we've just got some woolly thyme here. This is John's pot. It has some lilies in it. And let's talk about this beast here. This is how we are staking our tomatoes this year. So we've got the tomatoes planted super deep in the ground here. We dug a trench. I'll put some footage up here of what that looked like in the process. We picked off all the lower leaves as we planted them, and then we took a landscape staple, and this is just some fabric that's real stretchy, kind of like spandexy material. It was just something I had in my fabric drawer. And so from the landscape staple, it's tied up and it twists around the plant, and then it's attached to eye hooks up here. And this seems to be a very organized way of doing this. I can easily keep them all pruned. They're all in nice little aisles over here. So we've got a few different varieties. We have just kind of dotted all over the place. I'm going to make name tags for them. I've kept video records as I was planting them of what each variety is. We've got pink bumblebee over here, and there's mortgage lifter, black from Tula, black cherry, and black strawberry. And I'm dotting in between each one of the tomatoes over here a chamomile plant. That is a really good thing to do if you want a natural tomato hornworm deterrent, is planting herbs like chamomile or marigolds around your tomatoes, because that will naturally deter them. We have garlic just kind of dotted everywhere around here. This is a Ninebark here and over there. And then this tree is my favorite tree on the property. Let's get closer to it. Just take a look at the texture here. This is a blue ice Arizona cypress, and it creates those like nut cones here, but this is a super fast grower. It's grown at least a couple feet since I got it a couple seasons ago. And that guy will eventually fill up pretty much this entire area that gets 15 feet wide by 25 feet tall. So that is going to be a beast in this area, but it'll be glorious someday. This is a tiger eye sumac, which I think everybody should have one of these or a drift of them in their yard. They have the most gorgeous fall color. It's like such a vibrant yellow and orange. This is all going to get retooled over here as well, because we are actually going to be putting a roadside farm stand all along here. So we've got to move this box. Those might be able to stay, or I might move them. And then, yeah, this all needs to be weeded, and we're going to build a farm stand sometime. We have a ton of projects lined up, so don't exactly know when that's going to happen. And last year, I must have missed a couple garlic, because there's garlic coming up here and there. So I'm just going to let it go and see what it does. And this is strawberry mint. It smells so amazing. It's all along here and there. I've got some Russian sage planted here, and there's a little guy right here, and also right here. But I'm going to move those. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They have not liked our conditions. We get way too wet here. Yeah, they're not exactly happy campers. I've had them for 2 seasons now, and they've never done well. This guy needs a trim really bad. This is an Alberta spruce. I shaped him into a spiral. That was like one of my first attempts at a spiral topiary, and it's doing really well. Loving life, but it definitely needs a trim. It's getting super woolly. And here's more of the silver wormwood artemisia. We've got red acre cabbage and mammoth red rock cabbage planted here. Another grass that I'm not exactly sure the name of. We've got a green sea juniper, a blue moon juniper, Mr. Bowling Ball arborvitae. There's some phlox here and there. A lilac colored buddleia butterfly bush. There's a hydrangea back there. And my line of miniature trees here. So let's take a walk over to a different part of the garden. This is my plant stand that I've got going on here. It's a self-serve station. I just put plants out. Right now I have a sign, everything is $3. And this is our little box that people can drop the money into. And yeah, it's been working out really well so far. If we travel into this hot mess over here, we have this glorious like 4-foot tall rhubarb plant. A deep purple butterfly bush there. And this is where the chaos starts. So these are our pepper plants. We've got a tray here, there, over there. We have 20 of them planted in this bed. That's a little excessive, but I just want to see what they'll do at that spacing. And then also along here, we've got this trellis built. We have to finish putting chicken wire up, but we are going to be attempting to grow squash up it. So I picked some smaller squash varieties, and we've planted the seeds all along here, and we're just going to see what happens. We've got a Corsican gourd, acorn squash. There's a loofah plant down there. It's not really certain that I'll even be able to grow that in this climate, but I'm going to try. We've got some like baby boo little like white pumpkins and some other things in there. So we'll see. I didn't have super great luck last year growing squash. They didn't really produce much. But in this bed, I have 5 of 4 different varieties of peppers. I've got Jigsaw, which, look at this. Look at how gorgeous. The leaves are just stunning on these plants. So there's 5 Jigsaw, and this is kind of my hot pepper bed. I still have a bunch of like lilac bells, purple beauty bells, stuff like that I need to put in a separate bed, maybe over there. So it's Black Hungarian after that, Poblano, and then the Pasilla Bajo Chili Chilaca peppers. I'm super excited for that last one because those are the peppers that are the main ingredient in traditional Mexican mole sauce, as well as enchilada sauces. So I'm planning on making a lot of those this year. Super excited. And this isn't actually going to be like a walk-through archway. We're also going to enclose the back here with chicken wire and make a little seating area, and I think I'm going to plant a bunch of beans up the back there. A bunch of pole bean varieties. But walking this way, this is the majority of my garlic. I don't have good luck growing garlic here. I'm thinking what it is that it's too wet over fall, winter, and spring here that most of them end up rotting. So next year, or this fall rather, I'm going to be planting them in a raised bed to see how they do. This is my weeping white pine. I love this thing so much. It's got some new cones forming. My tulips have just finished blooming over there. I've got a grass here, here, and here that I planted last year, so that'll create kind of like a little alcove barrier here that'll look really pretty. Then we want to put a seating area all along here, since again, if it's like super lush with growth, spiders and stuff just hide up against the house, and I'd much rather put maybe like a gravel or even just a mulch seating area over there. That'll be really nice. Let's take a look at this bed. This bed is not going to stay here. As soon as the lettuce, bolts, and everything in here is done, this bed is going to come out, and this is going to become a pathway. But this is everything that we planted last fall and sowed the seeds last fall, and this grew over the winter. We've got a bunch of carrots over there, spinach, got kale, that's kale as well, tons of lettuce, tons of cilantro. There's a few broccoli plants that we did sowed in the winter sowing method. So this is just kind of a hot mess here, and yeah, I'm super happy with how prolific it's been, but it's getting to the point where it's looking a little tired. We've got our winter sowing containers here full of pansies. It's kind of a little late for that, but oh well. I think that's some steel blue sea holly right here. more broccoli plants. I need to figure out and do something with those. Got a tray of squash that I'm going to be selling on my plant stand. This is lemongrass that needs to get planted in that pot. And if you saw my last video, you will have seen we planted up this herb garden. I've got orange thyme, curly chives, parsley. It was looking pretty sad, but it looks like it's getting some new growth, so that's good. Platinum blonde lavender, sage, piccolino basil, Greek oregano, lavender thyme, barbecue rosemary, amethyst basil, pineapple sage, true French sorrel. Those are 2 sedums down there. This is purple ruffles basil, and then there's some fennel behind it. And these 2 plants here are 2 perennials that I need to still find a location for. This is a tiny rubies dianthus, and then that over there, a perennial baby's breath ground cover. It's just really delicate and beautiful. And over in this garden bed, we've just kind of got a mishmash of grasses, and there's another weeping white pine that really needs to be staked up. It's kind of just wah. These here I got from my mom's house. I'm not sure what the name is, but they bloom the most beautiful gooseneck white blooms. This here, these 3 plants are Calamintha nepida. I planted those last year in a video. A big old bunch of thyme. And this here is triticale. It's a wheat that I'm looking forward to harvesting that and trying to at least make some kind of little loaf of bread or something with that. So now let's travel to Berry Lane. This is our archway that we built with an old ladder. Sorry, the sun's coming out, so it's getting a little weird. This is an old ladder that came with the house, actually. So we turned that into a grape arbor and a gate. So in the front here, you can see I've got to find a home for these 4. These are 4 varieties of mint. We've got curly spearmint, strawberry mint, pineapple mint, and chocolate mint. And mint is something you definitely want to grow in pots because it will take over your life in the blink of an eye. Look at all these blueberries. Oh, they're everywhere. So beautiful. This is peach sorbet blueberry. We've got a raspberry shortcake raspberry, another raspberry shortcake raspberry, top hat blueberry, and a pink icing blueberry here. So this one and that one are new for this season. This and those 2 are going on multiple seasons. We got that one last year, and the raspberries we got the season before that. So let's take a look at what's going on in here. So this is Berry Lane, and I absolutely love this area. We've got our strawberry tower here. A lot of them didn't make it in this middle tier. Maybe we got a straggler or 2. I'll have to replace all the strawberries in here. But these guys, look at that. We've already got a ton of strawberries. So that's super exciting. We've got our Georgia Belle peach tree that's just loaded with little peaches. So fun. We have a grape plant here, and this guy on this side of the arbor is a King of the North grape. And I'm hoping it'll just bramble and climb all over this arbor. That would be so beautiful. But then next to the strawberry planter. We've got a bonus blueberry plant here. It barely has any leaves, but it's got some blueberries on it. And this plant is a full-size blueberry bush. It'll fill up this entire area. It'll get about 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. And it says at full maturity, it can produce 8 to 12 pounds of blueberries a year. That's a lot. And then behind here, we have our corn. This is Fisher's Earliest Sweet Corn. This is one entire packet worth, and they are doing really fantastic. If you see, I'll get closer to them after. I've got some snap peas planted on the outside of the fence that will just climb all along this chicken wire here. And this is our raspberry bed. So we've got Bristol black raspberry and gold raspberry. And both of them, look at that. It even has a flower on it. I was going to say both of them have buds on them, but that guy's even flowering. That is super cool. I cannot wait to try these two varieties here. And then this over here is just an ornamental cherry. It's called Little Twist Cherry. It blooms beautiful white blooms in the spring that fade to a nice pink color. And the leaves are just such a delicate little accent to the garden. So no, it's not food. It is a cherry tree, so I figured it fit in with Berry Lane. But eventually we want to do a window greenhouse here, and I thought that that would just be a really pretty plant right next to the entrance. And this is our potato patch. We've got some potato plants on the rise here. We have 3 different varieties in here, kind of just darted all over. All of our russets are over there. I haven't seen any action from them. They were all store-bought potatoes, so we'll see how they do. I did plant store-bought russets last year and they did fine, but I don't see anything going on, so those might be a dud. But all of the ones that are coming up are ones that we planted last year and harvested, and those are Russian banana and Amorosa. And then I've got other corn here. This is mini blue ornamental corn that I need to find a location for. We'll see. And you don't want to plant corn at the same time, because since what you're eating is actually the seed, it will affect, cross-pollination will affect your corn that same year. However, I did go ahead and start both of those seeds for the Fisher's Earliest Sweet Corn and the miniature blue ornamental corn because they have way different days to maturity. The Fisher's Earliest Sweet Corn I think is about a 65 day, whereas the blue ornamental corn is 109 days. So there's no chance that they are going to be pollinating their tassels at the same time. So you just want to keep that in mind, that you want to stagger your corn plantings by several weeks if they have the same maturity days, or you know, just get ones that have different maturity dates, because I also have a Montana lavender clay corn that I need to find a location for too, and that's used to make like flour and stuff, and that has the same maturity days as the Fisher's Earliest Sweet Corn, so I didn't want to plant those anywhere in the same window as each other, because one's for eating fresh and one's for eating in flour form, so I did not want them to cross-pollinate. But that is going to wrap up our first garden tour of the season. I'm so glad you guys came along on the journey with me to check out how things were doing so far this season. And I hope you guys will hit the subscribe button so you can follow along throughout the whole season with me, because I think this is going to be such a fantastic year. So drop it down in the comments below if you've made it this far and introduce yourself. I want to get to know everybody in my community. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.